Welcome to Friendly Math 101. Today's lesson is over the distance formula. For our first example, we're going to find the distance between 2 points on a number line. This situation is pretty easy. We don't have to use any formulas. We're just finding how many from here to here. So the easiest thing to do when you have positives and negatives is figure out how many units to 0. So from 3 to 0, that's 3 units. From -5 to 0, that's 5 units. Notice there are no negatives because when we're talking about distance, we don't have negative values. Then we can just add these together. So my distance is 8 between these points. Now my second example, I'm going to find the length between 2 points of a line on a coordinate grid. This time we're going to use the distance formula. So the distance formula is, I'll write it up here, I'll erase this. The distance is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So I have 2 points here. I just need to find the coordinates of these points. So my first point up here is -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. -9. And I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. -9, +9. My point down here is -2, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -2, -7. So these are going to be my x1, y1, x2, y2, and we can just plug these into the formula. So my distance is equal to the square root of -2 minus -9 squared plus -7 minus 9 squared. Now from here, we can just type everything into our calculator. If you want to try to do it by hand, you can. Easiest thing to do is just type it all into the calculator. Now, I'm just going to figure out what's going to go underneath the square root. I'm not going to type in the square root. So when we type this in, it's going to be parentheses, -2 minus -9, close parentheses, squared. And I will zoom in on the calculator. Plus parentheses, -7 minus 9, close parentheses, squared. And enter, and I get 305. And I will zoom back out. So I get D is equal to the square root of 305. That's not a perfect square, so we can actually figure out what the square root of 305 is and round it to the nearest tenth. So D equals 17.5. Or it could tell you to write it as a reduced radical. So reduce the radical for 305 and you get the square root of 305. That would not reduce. Okay, so either one of these would be your answer, depending on how it asks you to write your answer. Rounded or the exact number, the square root. Okay, and our last example here, find the distance. We're going to use the same formula. So I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. So my distance is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared Make sure you're not mixing up the points. If this is your 1, then x and y both have to be 1. Now, again, we can plug it straight into our calculator and solve. Make sure you put the parentheses where they need to go. So we have 3 minus 1 squared plus parentheses 4 minus 7 squared. The squared needs to go outside the parentheses. And we get 13. So D is equal to the square root of 13. If it asks you for an exact number, you would leave it like that. If it asks you for a rounded number, then you want to type the square root of 13 into your calculator and round to however many decimal places. So this one would be 3.6. Again, depending on what the question is asking or how it asks you to write your answer. Thank you for watching, and for more math tutorials, please subscribe to our channel, Friendly Math 101.